Hey guys, so I feel like this video has been a long time coming really now, and it's something that I really have to make, and I'm sure you guys have seen the title by now and will be thinking, this can't be real, is it? Or maybe you're thinking, thank God for that. But yeah, it is goodbye for now, at least in the way that you've known me if you've followed me for the years I've been on YouTube, or if you've started following me in recent years. Things are changing, and I kind of wanted to use this video to delve into that and kind of explain where I'm coming from and what my plans are for the future, and if any of them kind of have the internet in it anymore. So if you're interested in that, this video is kind of going to be filmed all in one go. So if you want to do some jobs and just kind of chuck your phone at the side and just listen like a podcast, that's fine too. Or if you don't want to watch, you're not interested, that's also fine. So I'm gonna just delve straight into it. I'm leaving YouTube, or at least in the way that I've always been on YouTube. My life has changed a lot. I have a little boy now, and he is 6 months old, and he's doing really good. I don't show his face online for many reasons, but yeah, he is doing good. He does have a heart condition, and he has to go for surgery soon, which is really scary. I actually sat in this exact spot when I did a video when I was pregnant, talking about how scared I was and everything that was going on with my pregnancy, and now he's here, it's even more scary because I've gotten to know him and gotten to fall head over heels in love with him, and then now I have to face the prospect of surgery. And I'm not going to talk about it too much because it does make me really upset, but like, I had to sign something, for instance, the other day when we met with the surgeons, to say like, I understand that he may not come out of surgery. So it's not nice at the minute, and I'm like trying to smile and put a brave face on, mainly for his sake really, because I know he's a baby and he doesn't understand everything, but he understands when I'm upset, and I don't want him I'm gonna cry. I don't want him to be scared and see me upset. He's not here, so I could cry now if I wanted to, but I don't want to because I've got a lot more stuff to focus on in this video. I don't want to just spend it crying. I feel like most of my videos now where I do sit down videos like this, I'm just crying about something. Maybe it's my hormones, I don't know, but we're gonna move on from this because I will get really upset if I keep talking about it. But basically, to kind of summarize right at the start here, I am not going to be doing YouTube in the same way that I always have before, and this video is going to be kind of delving into the reasons why I'm not going to be doing YouTube and content on Instagram, TikTok and stuff in the same way that I was, why you're not going to see as much of me anymore, and also then where you can potentially find me and my plans for the future and that kind of thing. So if you're wanting to watch this for a full-on update, you are in the right place. I have made some notes on stuff because on the back of these like old teaching things that I used to have, because my brain is like a fog since having a baby. Baby brain is very real. I didn't think it was, and then I got pregnant and realised that I couldn't remember anything anymore, and since having my baby that hasn't disappeared, and I've heard it won't, so maybe this is just me now. But yeah, I've made a little like bullet point list of things that I wanted to cover in this video to make sure that I cover everything, so bear with me. But yeah, firstly, reasons that I don't want to do the online stuff anymore. I grew up online. I have been posting online since I was probably about 11 years old. I think it's like 2010, 2011 I started posting videos. I don't think Blob the Cob came around until 2013, I want to say. I think I was about 13 years old when we started Blob the Cob, me and my friend Becky. We sat down one day and we made that YouTube channel, but we did have YouTube channels before that. I think there's one called Dreamer something. I think it's Dreamer and then my birthday, so I think it's Dreamer 110499. And yeah, that was, I think, my first proper YouTube channel, but I'd had accounts before then that I couldn't find if I had a gun against my head. So if you can, good on you. But yeah, I have been around on YouTube for a very long time, and yeah, my first reason for not wanting to be on YouTube anymore really is that things have changed and no one likes change, least of all me. But the internet and the content that is on the internet has changed drastically from when I was doing YouTube as a kid. So when I first started YouTube, let's go from even like when I first started Blob the Cob, it was a very different place. Like, nothing was monetized, not really. Like, the YouTubers that earned money were the YouTubers that had like 10 million subscribers and stuff. Like, they were in a whole other league. Like, it just wasn't a thing. You know, and even if you did monetize videos and stuff, like, which didn't become really a thing in the equine community until a lot later, you weren't earning big money. You were getting like a $5. It wasn't very good. You know, no one really did it anyway in the equine community because videos were very different back then. There was no vlogging initially. There was none of that. It was all like edited videos, like against popular songs of the time. There was like One Direction songs and stuff going on, and we'd all edit videos to them. So that was kind of the internet back then for the equine community, at least. And then vlogging came along a little bit later. Vlogging kind of, when the mainstream YouTubers went from like, you know, like Dan Is Not On Fire and Amazing Phil and Casper Lee and Joe Sugg, they kind of went from making videos where they were like sat on the end of their bed talking to actually picking up a camera and walking around the streets. Like, things changed, and that was kind of shortly after that when the equine community decided to follow suit. So we started vlogging, and I actually remember my first ever vlog. I was sat in my car going to get my hair done, which I should probably do. I could have replicated it, couldn't I? Because look at the state of this. But yeah, I remember it being so awkward because I'd never actually spoken on camera before. Like, all my videos were just of me riding. I didn't film anything where I was actually sitting down and talking or vlogging or anything like that. So yeah, that was the internet, and things now are very, very different. And I never as a child thought that I had a future in doing what I was doing online as a business. Like, I never thought I would earn enough money to live off it, and I never have. Like, I don't know what the most I've ever made off like a brand deal or anything like that is, and I'm gonna get onto that later. But yeah, I've never made big money off YouTube. I think the most I've made probably in like a month of YouTube was like a few £100, maybe, I think. I think there was a time I made about 350 quid or something like that, and I was like, winning. Which may, if you're young and watching this video, that may sound like a lot of money, but when you get older, that is just, that's not enough money to live off. It really isn't. Especially if you have horses. Gosh, that's like a week in the life of having horses. If you're really lucky and you just have like one or something. But yeah, like, life has changed a lot, and the internet has definitely followed suit. And I actually tried to kind of roll with the times a few years back, and I had a management team. I was approached by a management team, and they were lovely. Still love my old management team, and the reason I'm not with a management team anymore is not because of them. It's not because of anything that was wrong with how they were managing me or like what was happening. It was very much just a case of I did not feel like me anymore, and that kind of brings me more onto the content, and everything on the internet has really changed. And I always enjoyed making the editing videos, making videos to music like that, and even the early days of vlogging and collaborations that I filmed. Like, I remember filming my collaboration with Holly Lenehan, I think it was in like 2019, and like my collaboration with Esme back in, well, I think that was the following year in 2020. Yeah, I think it was, because it was around lockdown. I remember filming those videos and being like, this is so fun, like this is great. And at the same time, I was trying to run my schooling livery and competition livery business and sales liveries, which I both loved and hated, because as you guys know, I have a lot of horses. I buy horses easily, like not easily as in financially, god, I never have money to buy horses anymore, but but yeah, like I found it really good shopping for horses, awful at selling horses, because I really fall in love with them and they become family members to me, and I get really in my head about where they're going, and I have had experiences when they've gone to people who I wish they hadn't, and things have not been right, and that's tea for another podcast. But yeah, I had that business running at the same time as doing YouTube, and I kind of just thought, I'm never gonna make it big on YouTube. Like, it's not gonna be a thing for me. I'm never gonna be able to make a living off YouTube. It just won't happen. So instead of posting regularly on my YouTube, I kind of dropped and picked up my YouTube, which is what I've done for many years since then. I've done like a little bit, few weeks consistently here and there, and then not done it for a while, and I think that's always been because I never believed that I could make YouTube into a career. And as a result of that, I kind of, I've been doing other things. I've had several different businesses over the years. I've always been self-employed, which I'm really lucky to have been in a position. Like, where we live is very adaptable, so it's been like easier to acquire different businesses and be self-employed from home, which I've always been very grateful for, because a 9 to 5 job just would not fit in with life here. Life here is crazy. We have a rescue with over 300 cats, which, contrary to popular belief, we had a BBC News thing, this only take a sec, we had a BBC News thing come in and do like this expose on the cat rescue, and it really helped with funding. It did great, and it was only supposed to be on like our area, the BBC News in our area, but it turned out that it went like nationwide, and it did insanely well. But in that video, I think at the time we had like just over 100 cats. They kind of filmed it as if 100 cats lived in our house. So our entire garden is kitted out with massive units, massive runs and stuff for all of these cats. I think the most cats we've ever had in the house, still a lot of cats, it's a big house, is about 25, maybe 30. There were like a few poorly ones that have like come in for extra like intensive care and stuff. But yeah, they fully filmed this thing like we had 100 cats living in our house all the time. So yeah, just wanted to clarify, that was never a thing. That was just how the BBC kind of like made it look. I don't even think they purposely made it look like that. I think it was just how it was filmed. Like, they've obviously taken various snippets of all of the things that we filmed, which is what everyone does with these things, and they've put it together, and that was just kind of how it came across. But yeah, so anyway, we have the rescue, we have all of the horses, I now have my baby, and I'm a solo parent, so a 9 to 5 job just doesn't work here. And I'm very fortunate and very lucky that I am able to work from home, but I've had so many businesses over the last few years trying to find what the right fit is for this place, and that's kind of continuing now. I have 2 new businesses, one smaller and one hopefully going to be like my main business, which I'm going to talk about at the end of the video. But yeah, at this time I was not doing YouTube as a job, and then I basically had this management team approach me and be like, hey, you could be earning a lot more money off YouTube and the internet and stuff. And even then I wasn't really posting that many videos on YouTube, if any, and yeah, I had this management team all of a sudden, and yeah, it was they were getting me lots of different ad things and stuff, and yeah, the ad things, I'll talk a bit about ads now because it's just fitting at this part of the video. This video is going to be all over the place, by the way, because my brain is all over the place, so this video is going to scream ADHD. I'm going to be talking about one thing, then move on to something else at a weird point. But yeah, ads, oh my goodness, this was kind of the main reason why I decided I didn't want to go with my management team anymore. It was nothing to do with them, lovely people, I still absolutely adore them to bits, and I'm continuing to follow them on their journey. I just was not the right fit, so I decided to end my partnership with the management team, and that was because I just didn't feel authentic anymore. I think in the early days of YouTube, and for my favourite years of YouTube, everyone who I was friends with and all the videos we would make all felt very authentic. They were very real. It was just life, and we were having fun. We were like kids and having a great time. You know, and even like young adults having a great time, like that video I filmed with Holly Lenihan, like it was hysterical to film, and how it's filmed and how it's edited is exactly what it was like to experience that in person. That video felt so authentic to me. So did the video with Esme, so did like other collaborations around that time, like Pony Nuts, Lily, Jess, you know, like I should put Gracie, Lily and Jess, sorry Gracie, I'm just calling you Pony Nuts, and just giving everyone else their actual name and just being like, oh, Pony Nuts, never actually caught her name. But yeah, all of that felt so authentic and so real. We were friends, like genuine friends, having a great time. And the ads that I was doing around those times, you know, I didn't do that many back then. I never have done like masses of ads, but I've always been very particular about the ones that I went with. And I think when I had my management team, I felt a lot more inclined to, you know, they'd get me a potential partnership, and yes, I could have absolutely turned them down. But there were certain ones that just didn't feel like me, but I did them anyway because I kind of felt like I had to, like I've got a management team and they found this thing for me, and it clearly obviously is a really good opportunity and a really good deal, but it just wasn't me. And I think equally there was some that I signed on to myself that I look back at now that I will talk about. So I did a partnership with Haygain, and I love my Haygain. I do, like, genuinely highly rate it as a product. But where I like felt like I'd lost myself a bit with that was I did a video with a big Haygain. We have two big Haygains because I've done two collaborations with Haygain on the same Haygains over the years. Again, lovely team at Haygain. Really love them, and it's nothing to do with them, and it's nothing to do with the products. It's not like the products I was promoting I didn't like. That was not it at all. What came into it for me and where it felt unauthentic to me was the cost of the items. So like, and it's not that I don't think they're worth the money. I think they are, but I'm not their target audience. Like, I know a lot of you guys will look at me and be like, oh my God, I bet she's really well off and stuff. And like, you can't win with talking about money. Like, if you know, say like, I don't have as much money as you guys think I do, is all I will say. Some of you guys probably don't care at all, but I've seen things over the years being like, oh, I bet she's a millionaire, like she's so rich, she's got all these horses. Most of my horses cost very, very little. We've lived at this property where we keep the horses ourselves, make our own hay, do all of the things ourselves for like 65 years. So although horses, yeah, they're still not cheap. They are a lot cheaper to keep than, like, I couldn't afford to have like 2 horses on livery somewhere. There'd be no way, like not in a million years, but I could afford to keep a lot of horses at home because we're making our own hay. They live out 24/7. You know, basically my main bill is the farrier. That's pretty much it. And then the odd vet bill for either vaccinations or when one of them decides to like try and die in a field somewhere. Like that's kind of where my bills come into it. But I don't have the same bills. I'm not, you know, physio and chiropractor, things like that, yes. But I don't have to pay livery. I don't have to pay people to look after my horses all the time. I don't have to pay full livery. You know, we have machines. I don't have to pay people to poo pick. We have machines that do it. You know, which we bought this little poo hoover several years ago, and I think it was about 500 or 600 quid, which was a lot of money for me back then, but oh my god, that was the best purchase that I could have made, because I just ride around on my quad bike and hoover all the poo up behind me, and it makes it so much easier. And they all live out 24/7. In the space of a year, they maybe spend like a couple of weeks like in on nights kind of thing, like when weather is really extreme, but and that's usually just in the winter. Other than that, I mean, like today is really stormy. I'm filming this inside because of the rain and everything, and my horses are all outside. They're all naked and living their best lives. They have big round bales out in the field, so they always have Adler palage, automatic drinkers, plenty of grass. They are happy horsies. But yeah, getting back, again, my ADHD brain, I'm on a tangent again. Getting back to the hay gains. I remember very vividly, there's a point in the video where I'm stood there like really trying to get people that are watching the video to go buy a hay gain. I'm thinking, you know, and as I'm saying it, I'm thinking, this isn't authentic to me, because as much as like if I had the money to buy a hay gain, I think I think they're a couple of £1,000. Some of them, the big ones are, I think, and then the smaller ones are a little bit more affordable and stuff, but they are a lot of money. And it's not that they're not worth the money. That's not what I'm saying. They absolutely are worth the money. They're lovely. They're great products. But I would have never had that money to spend on a hay gain. Or if I'd had £2,000 to spend on something like that, it would not have gone on a hay gain. It would have gone on vet bills or the farrier or, you know, things like that, or like new stuff for the horses, new rugs, and, you know, it wouldn't have gone, that wouldn't have been at the top of my priority list. And yet I'm stood here in this very privileged position of having been sent a hay gain for free in order to just make this one video. And I'm sat there just thinking, this isn't authentic. It just doesn't feel like me. You know, and there was another product that screamed that out to me many more years ago, where I had a tack locker, and we did pay for part of the tack locker. It was, I think the overall cost of it was, again, probably somewhere close to £2,000, and we paid just under half of that, and that was hard to find, but we were like, oh my god, this is such a great opportunity, they're going to send us this tack locker, and in the end on that one, I only posted the one post, because we posted when it arrived and like the unboxing, I think it was, of my tack locker, if I remember right. But I actually had a problem with the tack locker, and I decided then it felt really unauthentic to be promoting it anymore. And they were like, why aren't you putting more stuff on about this tack locker that we've like sent you, you know, that like I'd obviously paid for part of it and stuff. I was like, I can't promote this because it's not waterproof. So I took it to Aintree, to like this, you know, to a show at Aintree. And yeah, we dragged it off the lorry. The wheels weren't great. It got stuck in like a load of sand and stuff. And these two big guys had to come and like drag it out of the sand. And anyway, got it to the stable, got it all like chained up and everything. Looks stunning, beautiful, loved it. First night, absolutely threw it down. I went down in the morning to get Harriet tacked up, and I opened it up, and all her saddle pads, her saddle, all my stuff, everything was soaked. And it was because it had rained in, and it had a lid on the top, and it wasn't waterproof. And I messaged them and I was like, hey, this ain't waterproof. Like, what's going on here? And they were like, oh, well, if you wanted it to be waterproof, you would have had to purchase the waterproof cover that goes on it for like an extra 200 quid or something, whatever it was. And I was like, but it's a product that's designed to be outside. Why isn't it waterproof? Like, you know, like, sure, looking back, I could have asked, like, is it waterproof? But surely you just assume it's waterproof because it's a tack locker. It's designed to be outside your stable at stay away shows when it's chucking it down with rain. There wasn't a single part of me that thought for a second that this tack locker wasn't waterproof. And I just thought, do you know what, that was really kind of cheeky of them to like send that product and have me advertise that as being as amazing as it was when it wasn't waterproof. I ended up using it for a stable, like in a stable, for a stable, don't worry, I didn't put horses in it. I put it in a stable where I had my, we got like a little solarium that reminds me I need to get working again. But the our little solarium was in one of our old stables, and I had that in there to like put tack and grooming brushes in and stuff to get them ready. And then in the end I sold it, and I told the person who bought it, I was like, just to beware, it's a lovely thing, really pretty, it is not waterproof. So beware of that. But yeah, we sold it for a few £100 about 5 years ago or something like that. So yeah, they were just a couple of examples of ads that I've done over the years, which I was not completely happy with doing, especially looking back, because it just didn't make me feel like me. I didn't feel like I was accurately and authentically representing myself on the internet, and that's something that's really important to me. I do care about how I'm perceived on the internet, which I think a lot of people do if they're being honest with themselves. Like, anyone can sit there and be like, I don't care what people think of me, but to some extent you do. Like, you know, like even if it's like the bare minimum extent, like you do want people to, like, if you are a nice person in real life, you're gonna want people to kind of see that when they're watching your content. And that's kind of how I've always felt. Like, you know, I want people to know me as me, and when people meet me at meet and greets, I want them to be like, oh, she's exactly how she is online, not like, oh my god, like she's a bit weird, which I'm sure people have thought when they've met me at meet and greets before, to be fair. But yeah, ads, the reason I don't want to do ads anymore is because I feel like I'm exploiting people, when most of the time I'm probably not. But I feel like it would be, it's greedy of me if they're products that I don't use and stuff, and if they're products that I do use, I have to take that price factor into consideration, because I'm not someone who would be in a position to spend a big amount of money on something that's a luxury item, really, and not a necessity. So that's kind of where I'm at with the ads. And I'll give you examples of recent ones. I'm trying to think of, I had a company get in touch with me like last week, I think, and it kind of just, it really like drove it home to me. Temu, the official Temu account, messaged me on Instagram and offered me, I think, £1,250 to do a video. It could be the same video, and to post it on Instagram and TikTok of me unboxing items that I could also like get for free off Temu. And I just kind of thought to myself, like, I'm not in a great financial position right now. £1,000 would be great, but authentically, I cannot sit there and unbox a bunch of products that have been made, like, or potentially made by workers in workhouses that are really unethical and, you know, really terrible for the people that are working in these workhouses. You know, I don't know how much of that is true or not. I'll be honest, I haven't done extensive research into it. Maybe that's not right with them, I don't know, but from things that I've seen, you know, it strongly indicates that that's kind of the way that company work. And I don't want to sit there, like, how awful for me to get paid over £1,000 to do work that would probably take me about an hour. Like, you know, and me getting this grand, it's all well and good for me, isn't it? When there's work people sat getting paid like less than minimum wage to make these products, and I'm sat there being like, oh, I really like this top that I've bought off Temu that was made by some, like, in some unethical workhouse somewhere in the country, like somewhere in the world. You know, that's all well and good for me, isn't it? But it's not well and good for them. So I can't authentically sit there and, you know, with my £1,000 and whatever pounds, and authentically promote those products. And I'm not going to do that. Which is a big thing as to how I could earn money online now. And I don't want to do it. I don't want any part of it. So I have said a big no to ads now. I've done a couple, like the one I did recently for a clothing brand over on my Instagram. That was, I say recently, like within the last 6 months. They did not pay me anything. So from now on, with ads, unless they're asking me to do a lot of stuff, you know, to promote products that I genuinely do use all the time, I think are affordable and I can be authentic, they're the only times you'll ever see me do anything that resembles an ad, and they're the only times that I would do it for some payment if it's going to take me a long time to do. If a company is just sending me, like, you know, a hoodie and a pair of breeches or something, amazing, that's lovely. I'll do you some stories or a post or something, and I'll feel authentic doing it if I like the products, and I think they're affordable. So I don't care about the money side of it anymore. It really means a lot to me how I make money, and I don't want to do it exploiting anyone else, not like exploiting the people who are making the products that I'm like advertising, or exploiting the people who are watching my content. I don't want to be telling you guys to go and get something that I couldn't afford myself, or telling you guys to go and get something that I don't actually use and I'm just faking for a video. Like, that's just not me. So that's kind of where I'm at with ads, and that is a big portion of how people earn money online now, is advertisement, and it's not something that I want to be a part of. So no ads unless under the, you know, the things that I just said. Then I wanted to get on to how content has changed. So my content, like I said earlier in the video, I won't stay on this very long because I've kind of already mentioned it, I felt very authentic making it. All the people who were in my videos, I was and still am, I can't think of anyone who I'm not friends with that have been in my videos, I'm still friends with now, and we are good friends who I could pick up the phone anytime and ring, and we're pals, they'll answer or they'll call me back and be like, sorry, I was busy, and we'll have a great chat and a catch up. Things have changed, content has changed. The way content has gone now is there's a lot of long form content out there, which I have never been that great at making, apart from this. I say that, this video is already like 32 minutes long. It's probably gonna be like an hour probably by the time I'm done. But yeah, videos have changed, and the videos that I enjoy making, people just don't obviously enjoy seeing anymore on YouTube. Since I've come back after having a baby, I've posted videos that are probably some of my favourite videos that I've posted in a long time, if ever. Like, I loved my most recent Bears video. We had such a good time filming it. It was amazing, but that's the video that people have watched the least and just don't really enjoy anymore, and that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that content has changed. I'm just saying that how do I best put this? You can either roll with it or you can get rolled on by it, and I think I'm happy to get rolled on by this one. Like, I want to feel authentic in everything that I do, and some of the things that people post now in order to do well, and like the, you know, the clickbaiting and captions and stuff like that, it's just not me. I don't want to post something and then have someone start watching the video and be like, oh, so that's, you know, that's not true, is it? So yeah, that's a big thing for me. The content has changed. I do think I post a lot of content in the wrong place now, because the internet has changed. I think a lot of my content that I've put on YouTube over the years would actually fit better on TikTok now. And I'll get into things like that at the end, because I want to talk about places where you might be able to find me in the future. But yeah, the next thing I've got on my list, and this is kind of a sensitive topic, is that people have changed. So as I was saying, all the people who used to be in my videos, they are still friends, and we were friends. Like, I have never done a collaboration with someone who I was at least not friends with at the time. You know, I've always done collaborations with friends, whereas now collaborations aren't always done with friends. Collaborations are business transactions, and again, it's very much all comes under the same category for me. It's not authentic for me, and I don't want a part of it. I'm not going to mention anyone by name, I'm not, because that's not me either. I'm not someone, I don't want to put anything out there that is, you know, like directly aimed at people and like, you know, for you guys to go and like hunt people down and be mean with them because of how they've like been with me and stuff. That's not what this is. I just want to talk a little bit about it so you guys can potentially see it from my point of view. There are a couple of people in particular online who I think public imagery would make it look like we're really good friends, but they don't return my phone calls, they don't answer my texts or my DMs or anything. And they were people who for a while I had on my close friends story on like Instagram. And that's normally where, like, if I'm having a really crap day, I'll have a moan on my close friend story, like most people do. And they're the kind of people who, like, most people who would view my close friend story if I was having a bad day would send me a message after seeing it, or even if it's like, it might be a really long paragraph being like, oh, I'm always here for you and everything, or it might just be like a short thing just being like, oh, thinking of you, you know, like whatever, like they'd send me something, or even just react to it with like an emoticon thing. But these people are the type of people to view that, and they always viewed every close friend story every close friend story they always viewed. But then if I were to like post about it on my main feed story, so they'd view it on my close friend story and not message me and not get in touch with me ever. But then they'd view it on my main feed and they'd be the top comment and everyone liking the comment. And I think to myself, oh, this is really fake, because people are going to see this and think like, oh, we're such good pals, look at them supporting me, and you know, they must always be there for me. Whereas actually there have been times where I've directly called them, like after they've made comments like that on my posts, you know, to have a catch up or a chat, to, you know, and they've just completely ignored me, and it's been over 6 months and they haven't called me back. So it's not that I expect like them to be at my constant beck and call. That's not what I'm on about. It's that they have absolutely, like, unless there's something in it for them, they have absolutely no want to get in touch with me at all. They care about their public image when it comes to me, but they don't care about me as a person. And in being the way they have with me, they've kind of made me feel subhuman. I was in a really low place because of it. I lost a lot of confidence in myself. And it takes a bit to admit, actually, because I've always tried to come across as being authentic and confident and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, they made me feel really subhuman and like something you'd find on the bottom of someone's shoe. And then, yeah, so I don't want to collaborate with anyone who I don't like and know as a person, you know, and that's kind of it. And I definitely won't collaborate with those couple of people who have treated me like that. I will never name them by name. I don't think they're bad people. I don't think they've treated me like that purposely. I don't think they've gone out of their way to be mean with me. I don't even know whether, if they'd watch this, whether they'd think, oh, that's me. Like, who am I kidding? They're not watching this. They don't care about me. But yeah, like, I don't even think they would, I don't even know whether they would know how much, like, how they've treated me has hurt me. But yeah, it was very, I was like, I think it hurts more because I was very fooled by it. Like, one of these people I'd known for many years, the other for several years now. And I'd always thought we were pals, like we were friends. But now I've realised this year, since I didn't do much last year online, and since having my baby, I've not done that much. My views and things haven't been as good. And that has directly coincided with these people messaging me and talking to me and stuff. Like, they just don't anymore. And I can't help but feel like if I all of a sudden started doing insanely well online, I don't know when or why I would, because I'm not really intending on doing much in the future, but if I were to, they're the kind of people who wouldn't speak to me, haven't spoken to me in ages, and then would randomly just knock on my door one day, or like, you know, send me a message and be like, oh, hey girl, like, how have you been? You know, would be great to catch up and film something together soon. Like, that's the kind of vibe I get. Like, they're the kind of people who, I said this to my friend the other day, bit dramatic, but if I were to die, they're the kind of people who would post a photo of us together, if they have one, on their story and be like, oh my god, this is like the worst thing ever, like she was such an amazing person, I loved her so much, but they wouldn't come to my funeral. Like, this is how I put it to my friend when we were talking about this the other day. Which sums it up perfectly, I think. You know, but that is how the internet is now. Everything's a business transaction. And I'm sure, like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure a lot of these people are friends in real life. Like, I'm sure there are elements of it that are real, but I think if they met online, I fail to believe that a lot of them would still be friends if one of them didn't have as many followers or as much interactions as they have, if that makes sense. But yeah, the internet has changed and the people have, to me, changed. You know, I still talk to a lot of the people that I was friends with back in the day, but everything's moved on, everything's changed, and you know, maybe that's for the better. Maybe I just don't like change. You know, maybe I just, you know, like, I'm waving with this video, I'm waving goodbye to many of the things that, like, a big part of myself, really, because I'm essentially in this video waving goodbye to Blob the Cob, because I feel like that part of my life is now over. You know, I feel like the internet has changed so much that the Blob the Cob version of myself is now obsolete, you know, and that's fine. Like, things change, things move on, but if how those people have treated me is how I'd have to treat people now to make it in this business, then I don't want a part of it. So that's what I mean by that people have changed, and I just wanted to reiterate, I'm not going after these people. I do not think that they are bad people. I don't think that they know how much they've hurt me. And I certainly haven't spoken to them about it. So, I mean, I couldn't if I tried. They don't respond to my messages, but like, I don't think they understand it and they don't think about it in the same way as I do. Maybe one day, I always think everyone has their time in the sun with the internet. Maybe one day in the distant future, if they're not as big or not doing the internet anymore, maybe they'll look back and feel the same as I do. But maybe not. I don't know. Moving on. Then, where are we? I was going to talk about, oh yeah, other things, other reasons why I am saying goodbye to the Blob the Cob version of myself. A lot ended for me when I lost Ziggy at the beginning of this year. It kind of, I'd been feeling this way for a long time. Like, oh, I kind of feel like there's two versions of me, and like, I'm this different person now, but like, I kind of feel like I still have to be Blob the Cob because that's just who I've always been and who people know me as. Like, I feel like I have to be that girl still, and the girl that wants to go out and compete all the time, and that's who I have to be. And then Ziggy died, and Ziggy died in the field where I filmed all of my videos growing up. So there was a field, if you followed me like at the beginning of time, like there was a field where we used to have this set of wooden jumps out. There were like blue wings and yellow and black wings, and red and white and pink and stuff. Like, there was a full like wooden set of jumps. We'd film a lot of our videos in that field, and I'd filmed a lot of videos with Ziggy in that field over the years as well. And that's where Ziggy died. I was in the hospital with my son, and I had been for a week. I got out the day he died, the day Ziggy died, and I got home and I'd missed the horses, and I said to my mum, I was like, are you able to watch my son for a few minutes? I just want to walk around and just say hi to the horses. And she was like, okay, yeah, I've got to go somewhere, so be quick, but yeah, sure. So she took my son and I went down to the field. Bear in mind, Ziggy had been fine early that morning. We have a couple of like part-time members of staff who come round just for like an hour here and there and feed the horses haylage if they're in the field. But that was back when we were doing it with loose. Now we use big bales, so they never run out, but at the time we were doing it like twice a day with hay nets and emptying big hay nets into the field, and doing it like that. So he'd already been seen early that morning and he was fine, and I walked down to the field, and his was the first I got to, and he was stood in the field with Bobby stood over him. Bobby was stood in the field, sorry, Ziggy was laid down, and he had a rug on. He'd had this new rug that I bought him, and I when I first saw him, I was hoping and praying that what had happened was that he was essentially cast, he was like stuck in his rug, which they sometimes can do, like that he had like a front leg, he tried to roll or something and managed to get a front leg tucked under the straps of his rug, and as a result he couldn't get up, so he was just laid there. And that was what I was hoping was wrong. And as I got closer to him, he didn't move, he didn't get up, and I could see that he wasn't stuck, and I knew then. But Ziggy never let anyone lay with him ever over the years, never ever let anyone lay with him. So I knew the very fact that I was standing right next to him, standing over him, and he didn't really move much. He was dying, he was gonna die. I knew it was a really bad colic, you could just tell. And I called the vet straight away, and for the first time ever, I wasn't ringing the vet to come and help him to try and see if we could make him better. I literally did just ring the vet and say, I need someone to come and put him to sleep because he's dying. And the vet even said, Ziggy was almost gone anyway. You could see, how do I put it? He was alive and he was breathing, but you could see it in his eyes. He wasn't there anymore. Like he'd gone. His eyes were sunken. He just wasn't. He wasn't Ziggy anymore. Not really. And he was obviously in a lot of pain. And so the vet was even like, I can be there in 15 minutes. I'm not far away. Do you want me to tell you a few things to help to get him up, see if you can get him in a stable? And I was like, we're not, I'm not going to try and get him up. Like, it's not that type of case. And she was immediately like, okay, I'm with you. Like, I'll be there really soon. So I called my mum and dad and I was like, you need to come and say goodbye to Ziggy. Ziggy's dying. He's going to die now. And I said I'd already said to the vet on the phone as well, I'm not even sure whether he'll still be alive when you get here, even though she was only 15 minutes away. This was how bad he was. And he was laid right where all those jumps used to be. And I can't help but think my childhood and Blob the Cob, that version of me and everything died in the field with Ziggy that day. That was how it felt. At the end of that day, I looked, Ziggy was still on the field. It was the middle of winter. Unfortunately, we bury all of our animals, and we did bury Ziggy, but it took a couple of days to get organised, and fortunately it was winter, so we didn't have to deal with how horrendous it would have been in the summer, in terms of flies and things like that. He was perfectly preserved, but it did take a couple of days to get him buried, and everything. But yeah, at the end of that day, I looked out and I saw him at the field, and I'd covered him with a big blanket and loads of rugs and stuff. But I looked out and I thought, a piece of me just died today. Not just Ziggy, like a huge, and not just a piece of my heart as well. Something bigger died in the field that day, along with Ziggy and the Ziggy-shaped hole in my heart. And yeah, it was kind of surreal, because I did just feel like my entire childhood just ended in that minute. I don't know whether it's because it was Ziggy, and Ziggy was a huge part of my growing up and my childhood. I mean, there's a picture of him just there. Or whether it was the fact that he was in the field that I more or less grew up in online. But yeah, that was another thing to me that was like, something big has changed here, and that's that. The vet had told me as she was leaving I'd come back to our barn to get some rugs and things to cover Ziggy with after she'd put him to sleep. And she did say to me that she did suspect that it was also a really, really severe colic, and she said, I'll be really honest with you, Kate, the horses that I've seen that were in the same like state as he was today are the worst colics I've ever seen. Like, they are, she said, they're the ones, like, without an autopsy I couldn't say 100% for sure, but she said the horses I've seen like this, with the same colour, the same look, the way that he was, to put it nicely, they're the horses where they've had such a severe twist in their intestines that like the pressure has built up so much that it bursts, and they're like basically hemorrhaging into their entire abdominal cavity, and that was what we think happened to Ziggy. I didn't put him through having an autopsy, there was no point, but that was what we suspected. And she was like, even if that happened to him in the hospital, I don't think anyone would have been able to do anything. So at least that kind of eased something a bit for me. But yeah, it was, I had to very like quickly say goodbye to that part of my life as well, because obviously my son, he was inside, and I had to just walk back into that house and pick him up. He was crying, and I had to just keep going. And it was like something in the world was saying, there's your childhood gone, now you gotta get on with life. I miss Ziggy very much, I really do. He wasn't the easiest always. He was a really sensitive soul, but I miss him every day, and I'm really sad that my son never got to meet Ziggy, even though they were here at the same time. They never got to meet, and that makes me really sad, because I know he'd have loved Ziggy, especially that thing Ziggy used to do with his head, where you'd offer him a treat and he'd go with his head. My son would have loved that. He loves the horses, even now, loves stroking the noses. But yeah, that was a big thing for me in life. So my next thing that I wanted to talk about was where you guys can find me in the future. So basically, to summarize this video, I'm not going to be posting on YouTube in the same way anymore. I'm not never going to post on YouTube again, but I'm very rarely going to post, and they're not going to be the kind of videos that I've always posted on YouTube. So what I'm working on at the moment is something really exciting, actually, that it will not earn me a penny, but it's a passion project, and it's something that really means a lot to me, and I think a lot of you will love it too, especially if you've followed YouTubers like myself from the beginning, or you grew up with YouTubers like me, and you know, all of the other OG YouTubers. I kind of class myself as one of the OG YouTubers. I know I wasn't like the original, but like as YouTube was getting more popular, I was in that mix of the equestrian bunch, so I've always classed myself as like a kind of OG YouTuber. But yeah, like I'm doing something really exciting, but it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort, and I'm there for it, because it's a big passion project for me, and I know you guys will love it. But for instance, that will probably be the only video I post for a long time when that goes on. So I will occasionally post, but there'll be videos that either are updates, mean a lot to me, or have taken like, you know, a really long time to work with. So there's not going to be any more regular uploads, not on YouTube. Things like that are now done for me, because yeah, I don't think that's ever going to work for me on YouTube again. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in a few years I'll be making a video to say like, you know, things have changed, I'm going to be coming back way more regular and stuff, but I I don't foresee that happening. I think this is goodbye for now. And yeah, I'm surprisingly okay with it. I've come to terms with it now, and yeah, I'm all right. Where you may be able to find me, I'm not really started doing anything over there yet, but I do think TikTok probably aligns better with the time I have now and the kind of content I want to make now. I want to make a lot more rescue content. I'm trying to find a way to ingrain it without making another TikTok, but I may have to make another TikTok because, like I've spoken about in this video, Blob the Cob just isn't kind of what I resonate with anymore. It doesn't feel like me as much anymore, and that's fine. I loved that era of my life, but I'm in a whole new era now, and if you guys want to support me in that, that's fine. If you don't, that's also fine. But yeah, over on TikTok, I think the rescue content is a lot more fitting. I can speak about individual rescue cases, show you guys the animals, show you guys the place. I can do tours and stuff over there. Same with the horses. I can talk about them over there. And yeah, that is a platform where, like YouTube, just by watching videos, I can earn a little bit of money, which is always handy if I can. I've never done YouTube or TikTok or anything as a living. Again, the most I've made off TikTok ever has been about £300, I think. But again, that pays for something. It pays for some horses to get their feet done, or it pays for some vaccinations. So anything like that is handy. I'm actually doing a bit of saving at the moment because it sounds stupid because he's only 6 months old, but I really want to take my son to Center Parcs because we went to Center Parcs a fair bit as kids. This was before we had the horses, when we could afford to go to Center Parcs. And some of my best family holidays were at Center Parcs, and his surgery is really risky, and I really want to take him to Center Parcs. Oh my god, why am I crying about going to Center Parcs? So I can't afford to book it yet, but yeah, I'm gonna try and do some saving on there. So if a few £100 here and there off TikTok would help me, that would be really good. Because I'm really hoping I can take him for a couple of days before his surgery and just make some memories. But yeah, oh my god. Not talking about the surgery. But yeah, Instagram has always been the place where you could probably find me the most. And that will remain if you want to keep updated with like the foals who are being broken in at the moment, which is really exciting and stuff. That's probably where you're going to get the most intel on things like that. I'm going to try and post a lot more on Instagram to keep you guys up to date with life and everything, and competitions and things, because I will get back out competing again. But again, that isn't a part of my life that's as important to me anymore. I still enjoy it, I still love it, but there are other things I want to do with horses that I'm a lot more passionate about now. I'm a lot more passionate about how I work with the horses, and all that side of things, and that's something I definitely want to talk about and make content on in the future. But yeah, so that's kind of summarizes things. I was going to talk about my job, wasn't I? So I have, very briefly, because this video is it's an hour long. Yeah, I knew it would be, because I waffle because I have ADHD. Anyway, my new jobs. So I have a little business that I run with my cousin. So we provide mini golf and garden games for weddings, birthdays, corporate events, parties, things like that. So it's only a small business, but it's a fun little business. I love my cousin. I enjoy working with her. So it's a fun little business that we can do together. That's just like gets us a little bit of like pocket money here and there. It's not like a main business for either of us. We both do other things, but it's just something fun we can do together that we make a little bit on here and there. So we're called Yorkshire Golf and Games. That's our little side business thing we've got going, and it's a lot of fun. And I recently put together, oh, knock my phone off here. I recently put together a dinosaur themed version for our mini golf, which like brought me back to being a child, and that was really fun. And we took it to like a local like little country show thing around us, and kids and everyone loved it, which was fun. It was fun making it. It was really fun. So yeah, there'll be photos of that, I'm sure, somewhere on there as well. My cousin Vicky, she runs the social media for that. So yeah, but I like you'll see me over there. But my new business, which is very, very new, and I'm hoping will become my main business and will keep me in the loop with shows and everything like that, is that I am doing a catering business with my mum. I love working with my family, as you can probably tell. So we are called Yorkshire Farmhouse Bakers, and we want to make baked goods and other products and stuff for people to eat at events, with the hope of eventually going to some of the bigger shows like Horse of the Year show, London Horse Show, Great Yorkshire Show, and places like that. Some of the eventing shows like Bramham, Badminton, places like that would also be amazing. And that's where I'm hoping that I can sort of earn more of my living. Like I love some of the bigger shows and stuff, but I'm not as passionate about making it in horses, if that makes sense, anymore. Like I'm not as passionate about competing and stuff as I was when I was this age. But yeah, life has changed, and yeah, that I would really enjoy. We did our first show the other day and we did pretty good. We we're not breaking any banks yet and stuff, but we paid for the cost it took us to go to the show and all the products and everything we'd used, and a little bit extra. So it was a good start, and what it did give us was a bit more intel on the kind of products. Basically, we just took a bit of everything because we were like, I have no idea what people are going to be most drawn to, what people are going to like the most. And we've spent time trying to make sure that we're as all our products are as natural as possible in terms of like the packaging and things like that as well. Making sure that everything's recyclable, all of the ethics and things. That's something that really resonates with me and is really important. So we spent a lot of time working on things like that. But that is my two businesses. They're both very new. I don't have a lot of money spare at the minute, which is why my Timo brand deal was really tempting, but I'm joking. I couldn't have worked with them on that, just from the moral point of view, but financially would have loved that grand and a bit. Would have got my holiday to Center Parcs with my son, which would have been nice, but if it's meant to be, I'll find a different way to earn it, and that's fine. So that's kind of my work. And yeah, the girl who was up here in all these photos, she very much cared about winning and shows and all of that kind of things. But I look at my life now, and I look at the people, some of the people that I used to be out at these shows with and stuff, and I think to myself, I think I did win. I think I did win in life, really. Like I have a beautiful little boy. I have all of the horses who are all happy and healthy and out in the field currently, touch wood, thank God. And I didn't like who I was as a person back then. She may have won a lot of shows, this girl, and had a lot of rosettes, but she wasn't a happy girl. I had a lot of mental health problems back then. I think I had a lot of identity problems, which I probably still have now, but different identity problems, not as bad. Like becoming a mum had like identity problems, but back then I really didn't know who I was supposed to be, and I looked in the mirror and I didn't like myself, not just in like what I saw and how I looked, but also in like my personality and who I was deep down. I didn't think I was a very good person, and I still don't, looking back. But yeah, I think I've won because I can look in the mirror now, and I like my morals. I like who I've turned out to be as a human being. And yeah, I like how my life has turned out. I wish I had more money, but I think everyone does. But yeah, money can't buy you everything, but it can buy me a trip to Center Parcs with my son before his surgery. So let's hope I get that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this. It is goodbye for now in many ways, but it's not goodbye forever. Like it's goodbye to all, like, Blob the Cob, basically. Goodbye to Blob the Cob, this video. That era of my life is now over. I'm sure there'll be little like bits that come back to me here and there because it was a part of who I was and a part of who I am. You know, I've grown up becoming that person, so although it doesn't resonate with me like it did anymore, I'm sure there's parts of Blob the Cob that are gonna live in me forever. Is that wrong? No. But yeah, you guys know what I mean. So yeah, it's goodbye to kind of the videos that I have been making and the videos of the past, the edits, the things like that I am very much gonna miss and I doubt will ever come back. And you're not gonna see me very often over here on YouTube, so if you ever do, give it a thumbs up for old time's sake, I guess. But yeah, it is goodbye, at least for now. And yeah, thank you, I guess. Thank you guys, because I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for you guys. I don't really know how my life would have turned out. Maybe I'd have had more money, but hey. Who knows? But thank you, because honestly, they have been some of the greatest years of my life, and yeah. Thank you, and thank you to all my friends who have been in videos over the years, and thank you to the horses, and thank you to my family who've supported me on this journey all of these years, and I know will continue to support me on the next chapter. So yeah, I very much look forward to the content that will come on this channel in the future, though it seems far off now. Maybe it's not as far away as I think, and it won't be regular content, but it will be stuff that I am super passionate about, and yeah, I'm excited for that. So it's goodbye for now, guys, but what was my outro? What did my outro used to be? A magnum eating, scooter riding, owl hooting, kind of sort of show jumper from North Yorkshire. Was that it? Well, she's out. Bye guys. Thank you.